Hello friends, today we will do chapter number 9 of our novel David Copperfield written by Charles Dickens, Found and Lost. I fell into a deep depression after Dora's death. I decided that I would leave for Europe as soon as possible as I had helped Agnes deal with the business concerning Uriah Heep and her poor father. The only good news I had in those difficult and gloomy days was about Emily. It was extremely good news for Mr. Peggotty too. At last he had found out where Emily was and what had happened to her. She had travelled for months with Steerforth on the little Emily. But Steerforth soon lost interest in Emily and she missed her family very much. They argued and Steerforth told Emily that their affair was over. She returned to London alone but felt too ashamed to ask her family to take her back. Luckily, Mr. Peggotty, had never stopped looking for her. After months of searching through Europe, he found her in London. He told her to hush when she asked for forgiveness, and took her gently into his arms. "I have always loved you, Emily, and I always will. Now come, my dear child, and we will start a new life far away from here." Mr. Peggotty had taken rooms in London and decided to stay there with Emily while he prepared for them to leave for Australia. I hoped that everything would turn out well for them. In the meantime, Mr. Micawber continued to act mysteriously. He came to my room one night when my aunt was there. "Oh, I am pleased to find you both here. I am too upset and angry to speak now, and I am not ready. But I ask you to meet me in Canterbury in 1 week. It's very important." Mr. Micawber would not even stay for some of his favourite punch. He left quickly and was not at all like himself. "I just don't understand it. Mr. Micawber usually likes to stay and talk to me. Something is very wrong." "It must have something to do with Heep, David," said my aunt. "Yes, I never trusted that man. I decided to visit Ham and Peggotty in Yarmouth before going to Canterbury to meet with Mr. Micawber as he had requested. I was hoping to see the old Yarmouth that I remembered. When I arrived, the weather was very rough because a great storm had begun. I saw Ham on the beach, just as he was tying the rope around himself. He was going to swim out to sea where a boat was sinking. "Please, Ham, don't go. It's too dangerous. There's a boat in trouble out there, and people are going to die if I don't help." Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do to stop him. I watched helplessly as the furious waves became higher and rougher. I thought I recognized the boat that Ham was trying to sail. Suddenly there was a bright flash of lightning, then a crash of thunder. A huge wave covered everything, and Ham and the boat disappeared under the water. I helped to pull the rope back in, but Ham was dead when he took him from the water. The next morning a few pieces from the boat came ashore. I then knew why the boat out at sea had looked so familiar. One piece of wood that was washed onto the beach had the words "Little Emily" written on it. Ham had died trying to save Steerforth, the man who had taken Emily away from him. I decided not to tell Mr. Peggotty or Emily what had happened. Thank you, friends.